Hey everybody, so I got a finished install video for you here. But first, just a short little clip of what it looks like to deal with getting freight delivery orders of solar panels at just random addresses throughout the country. But I make it work. It's really not a huge deal, but it can be difficult sometimes. So anyways, this video on this 2025 Alliance Per Diem that I just finished, I want to give a special thanks to Todd and Holly. They came down and met us in a warmer location. They just plugged into me and had power while I did their install, but I appreciate them making the trip down and choosing us to get them plugged into nature. Look for their channel, RV Life with the Mirrors, coming soon. This little desert rat was hanging out with me the whole time we were there, and by the end we'd become pretty good friends with each other. So here's the system with the equipment mounted, except for the auto farmer that's just kind of laying there, but that's where it ended up going. So it took me a little while to make a plan for this one where the batteries were going to be accessible, because as I mentioned in the last video, I did a paradigm DM before and we buried the batteries. So this is again a 2025 Alliance Paradigm. It's the second one I've done in the last few weeks, because I did Adventure Endeavors, which was also Alliance Paradigm. So the front is very similar here. They had the exact same cutoff switches. I didn't notice this in Adventure Endeavors, but look, they got the cutoff wash, or the lock washers, between the lug and the cutoff switch, which means all the power has to flow through them. I know I've mentioned this before in other videos, but the lock washer is going to work as a lock washer, but it's not going to sit flat, which is going to create heat and resistance. So don't do that. People ask all the time what we do with our trash. If I have a bunch of trash like this big old freight box here, I'll take that to a dump. That one we loaded up with trash and stuff when we took it into the dump. But for the most part, though, our household trash just goes in Walmart bags, and we get rid of it at gas stations, typically truck stops when I'm getting diesel. So we end up having to move boondocking spots right at the end of this install, because they closed the spot we were at for one of the oldest races in the country. It says the Mint 400. So that's kind of cool. Wasn't a big deal. We just moved up the road and I finished up the last couple of things. So take you up on the roof here and show you what was done. So this is 3,420 watts up here. It's broke up between 3 strings. So it's a decent amount of watts up here. The watts on a roof are definitely increasing without having to build a rack, because of some of these newer panels, like these two that are right up at the front here. These would be the rich 335s, which I love. I was supposed to have more of these and they got back ordered, so I only ended up with these two. So these two got wired together in parallel and went to actually the factory entry gland that I'm pointing at there. And then I got 3 400s. These are made by Q-Cell. Those got wired together in series, and they actually go to the 150/45 down in the bay there. Then we got 3 of the rich 250s. Those are also wired together in series. They go to one of the 100/30s down there. And there's the 2 GoPro or GoPower 400s. One of them came with the RV, and the other one's the one I pulled off in Adventure Endeavors, but since they were matching panels, I was able to put them together. Those two are also together in series, and they go to a 150/35 down there. Then I put in the entry gland. I mean, Brinkley and Alliance both have been putting like a plumbing vent pipe down into the bay, which is nice because wires go down it nice and easy. I just been cutting the pipe off at the roof line and then mounting a box there. So if they want to improve that, they should just be doing that rather than just putting a plumbing vent pipe up there, because you got to modify it somehow. You can't just leave it like that. But then if you put a box in like that, it allows you to put Starlink in, which I did here. I just permanently mounted it to the roof on their mobility mount, which, guys, is only like $38 on their website. I know some of you have been getting these $300 magnet mounts, which are great, but honestly, I don't think they come off any easier than this mount, because you got to take a pry bar up there and pry them free is what I hear, and then all you got to do is take a little Allen wrench and 2 little screws, and you can pop this one free. So anyways, let's go down below and I'll show you all that down there. Now it's all wired and looking nice. I think this one turned out really cool. I just like how it all looks with all the lighting and everything, and the inverters being separated, built on the angled wall there. I just think it turned out really nice. So we'll run through things here. So the heart of the system would be the 3 big beard batteries. These are 24 volt 300 amp hour batteries, so 900 amp hours total, or 1800 amp hours in 12 volt terms. So big battery bank. They're wired individually. They come together in parallel at the Lynx power in, which is underneath this inverter here. The batteries all have breakers on them, and then they also have a power button, so they have their own circuit protection and disconnect, which is why I don't put in cutoff switches, and you can get away with using a power end. Up across the top here are all the solar controllers. So we got a 100/30 there, which would be for the 2 335s up front. Then there's a 150/35, which is for the two 400-watt Go powers that are wired in series, hence the reason I needed 150 volts. Then the next one would be a 150/45. That one is for the three 400-watt panels, and then the last 100/30 would be for the three 250s. Those all come together in parallel down here at this Lynx distributor, and then the other Lynx distributor is solely for the inverters because I did 2 runs of 2 watt to each one, so 2 positives, 2 negatives to each inverter. That's kind of how Victron recommends doing it. I've done it with just 1 run of 4 watt and it's been just fine, but that's what I did on this one. So, and it's honestly a little bit more cable, so it should be a little better. Over here is a breaker box that's just splitting the neutral and ground for the AC input. And then out of the inverters, we got the autoformer, which I've been doing on most of my dual inverter installs. So it comes out of both inverters, goes to the autoformer for load balancing, and then goes to the breaker panel box. Over here, we got 2 24-volt to 12-volt converters. So that's what's making the 12-volt for the RV. Honestly, I probably could have got away with one because there's no built-in Jenny in this one. And 70 amps is probably enough to run things. But let's say the fridge is running the same time that you're running the leveling jacks. I didn't want them to run out of power. So there's 2 of them creating 140 amps. And then there's just some little bus bars and stuff down in there where I split the power to each converter. And then there's another bus bar back in there that this would be the output. I got the servo mounted to the ceiling here, which obviously is powering the Touch 70 screen inside. Then I forgot to mention the solar disconnect. That's over here in the wall where it's easily accessible. And then I mounted their Starlink router and power supply to the wall there. And I used a little RJ45 dongle so they don't have to pull the router free. If they ever wanted to take the dish free, they could just run the cable in either one of these doors and then just plug it into their router there and get their dish out from the trees. So that's it for this one, guys. This is us getting packed up later on that night because we ended up taking off. We had a 6-hour drive to Modesto, so we knocked off a few hours at night so we didn't have to make it all in one day. Just getting the RV ready for how we travel at night. I keep all those lights on amber color. So we're going to hit the road, guys, and we will catch you on the next one.